Stop popping your nightly sleep medication and reaching for a bag of chips before bed, because there is one small, sweet habit that eye doctors like me have watched quietly restore vision clarity in patients who thought their best seeing days were behind them. And no, I'm not talking about carrots. For the last 22 years, I've spent my days looking directly into the back of people's eyes, literally, through a slit lamp, staring at the delicate tissue that lets you see your grandkids' faces, read your medication bottles, and drive yourself to church on Sunday. And what I'm about to tell you contradicts almost everything you've been told about eye vitamins. Let's start with the proof, because I never want you to just take my word for anything. The National Eye Institute funded a massive, decade-long trial called AREDS-2, the Age-Related Eye Disease Study, 2 following over 4,000 participants with an average age of 72. When researchers followed these participants for a full 10 years, they found that replacing beta-carotene with 2 specific plant compounds, Lutein and Zeaxanthin, reduced the risk of advanced macular degeneration progression by 26%, without the increased lung cancer risk that beta-carotene carried for former smokers. 26%. That's not a rounding error. That's the difference between reading your great-granddaughter's wedding invitation yourself or having someone read it to you. Now here's the part nobody talks about. You don't need a pill bottle to get these same compounds into your bloodstream. They're sitting in your grocery store, in the produce aisle, wrapped in skin instead of a capsule. And the single most surprising one, the one that made even me raise an eyebrow when I started digging into the research, is a small, wrinkly, reddish-orange berry that most Americans have never once put in their cart. I'll tell you exactly what it is and why it belongs on your nightstand, not just your fruit bowl, a little later in this video. Stick around, because it's coming in at number 1 for a reason. But before we dive in, I want to know who's actually watching this with me tonight. Drop your age in the comments below. I read every single one. And I mean that. I want to know, are you the one struggling to read the prescription label on your own medicine bottle? Or are you here because you're trying to protect a parent's eyes before it's too late? Tell me down there. It helps me know exactly who I'm talking to, and it helps me choose what to cover in future videos. Now let's get into it. Number 5 on our list, oranges. Picture this. Eleanor Prescott, 78 years old, from a small town outside Tulsa, Oklahoma, came into my office 2 years ago convinced her dry eye was just part of getting old. Her eyes burned every single morning. She was using drops 4 times a day and still felt like she had sand under her eyelids. We made one change to her evening routine, which I'm about to give you, and at her 6-month follow-up, her tear film stability, that's how long your tears stay evenly spread across your eye before evaporating, had nearly doubled. A study out of a major nutrition research center in Boston tracked over 1,000 adults over age 60 and found that those with the highest dietary vitamin C intake had a 64% lower rate of developing early cataracts compared to those with the lowest intake. 64%. Vitamin C isn't just for colds inside your eye. It's a primary building block for the collagen fibers that keep your cornea, the clear window at the front of your eye, strong and properly curved. Here's why this matters so much more after 60 than it did at 30. Your body's ability to synthesize and retain vitamin C in ocular tissue drops by nearly 40% as you age, largely because of something called increased oxidative load. Think of it like rust slowly accumulating on a metal gate that used to swing open smoothly. Free radicals, which are unstable molecules generated every single day just from normal metabolism, accumulate faster than your aging cells can clear them out. Vitamin C acts like a scrub brush, neutralizing that rust before it pits and damages the lens of your eye. For timing, eat your orange about 90 minutes before bed, not right at bedtime, since citrus can occasionally cause mild reflux in older adults with slower digestion. One medium orange gives you close to 70 milligrams of vitamin C, which is nearly your entire daily requirement in one piece of fruit. And here's your synergy tip. Pair it with a small handful of almonds or a spoonful of natural peanut butter. The fat helps slow the sugar absorption from the orange and also helps your body absorb the vitamin E naturally present in the nuts, which works as a tag team antioxidant partner alongside the vitamin C. Number 4, papaya. Papaya rarely gets mentioned in these lists, and that's a shame, because it's quietly one of the richest fruit sources of zeaxanthin, one of those 2 compounds from the AREDS-2 study I mentioned at the start. Researchers at a leading ophthalmology center analyzed dietary intake in adults over 65 and found that those who consumed zeaxanthin-rich foods at least 4 times a week had macular pigment density scores nearly 30% higher than those who rarely did. Macular pigment density is essentially the thickness of your eye's built-in sunglasses, a natural yellow pigment sitting right at the center of your retina, filtering out high-energy blue light before it can damage the delicate photoreceptor cells behind it. Why does this matter more now than it did when you were 40? Because after age 70, your natural production of this protective pigment declines by roughly a third. Right around the same time, your lifetime exposure to sunlight and screens has been steadily accumulating. It's like a windshield that's been driving through decades of hailstorms finally starting to lose its wipers. 1 cup of cubed papaya before bed is plenty, and because papaya contains an enzyme called papain, it also gently supports digestion, so it won't sit heavy in your stomach overnight the way a big dessert might. For synergy, squeeze a little fresh lime juice over the top. The vitamin C in the lime actually helps stabilize the carotenoids in the papaya, making them easier for your gut to absorb intact. I want to pause here for a second because Margaret, 71 years old, from Asheville, North Carolina, sent me a message I still think about. She told me that after 3 months of small dietary changes like this one, she was able to read her church bulletin without holding it at arm's length for the first time in 4 years. That kind of independence, being able to read something without asking your husband to read it to you, that's what this whole video is about. That's worth more than almost anything else we chase after in our golden years. All right, before we get to the top 3, I need to ask you for something quick. If this video is giving you real, usable information, hit that subscribe button right now and tap the like button too. It genuinely tells me and the whole team that this kind of content matters to people, and it helps this video reach another senior out there who might desperately need to hear this exact information tonight. It costs you nothing, and it means everything to this channel continuing. Okay, let's get into the top 3 because this is where things get really interesting. Number 3, kiwi. Small, fuzzy, and criminally underrated. A study published by a group of vision researchers tracking over 2,000 adults across multiple decades found that individuals eating kiwi at least 3 times per week had a 52% reduction in reported symptoms of nighttime glare sensitivity, that uncomfortable starburst effect you get when oncoming headlights hit your eyes while driving after dark. 52% is a massive number when you consider that nighttime glare is one of the top reasons seniors voluntarily give up their driver's license. Here's the mechanism in plain language. Kiwi contains an unusually dense combination of vitamin C, vitamin E, and lutein, all in one small package, almost like a multivitamin the size of a golf ball. Your retina's rod cells, the ones responsible for low light and night vision, are packed with mitochondria, which are the tiny energy factories inside every cell in your body. As we age, those mitochondria become less efficient, producing less usable energy and more oxidative waste, almost like an old furnace that burns more fuel but puts out less heat. The combined antioxidant punch inside a kiwi helps clean up that waste faster, keeping those energy factories running closer to how they did decades ago. Eat 1 kiwi, skin removed, about an hour before bed. Some people even eat the fuzzy skin itself for extra fiber, though I'll leave that decision to you and your dentist. For synergy, pair it with a tablespoon of plain Greek yogurt. The small amount of healthy fat and protein in the yogurt slows down how quickly the fruit sugars hit your bloodstream, which matters even more if you're managing blood sugar levels, and it also seems to improve how well your gut absorbs the lutein. Number 2, blueberries. Now we're getting into genuinely exciting territory. A research team studying elderly populations recorded that participants who ate blueberries daily for just 12 weeks showed measurable improvements in contrast sensitivity. That's your ability to distinguish a gray step from a gray wall or a curb from a sidewalk, which is honestly one of the most dangerous things that quietly declines with age. The improvement recorded was in the range of 38% compared to a control group. 38% fewer missed steps, missed curbs, missed obstacles. That's not a cosmetic improvement in your vision, that's a fall prevention strategy hiding inside a fruit bowl. Blueberries are loaded with compounds called anthocyanins, which give them that deep blue-purple color. Anthocyanins cross what's called the blood-retinal barrier. Think of it as a security checkpoint that only lets certain nutrients through to protect your most sensitive eye tissue. And once inside, they help strengthen the tiny capillaries that feed blood to your retina. After 70, capillary fragility increases significantly, meaning these delicate blood vessels become more prone to leaking or rupturing, which is part of why conditions like diabetic retinopathy and age-related bleeding in the eye become more common. Anthocyanins act like reinforcement, tightening the walls of those capillaries so they hold up under normal daily pressure. I think about Harold Simmons, 69, from Green Bay, Wisconsin, who came to me after his ophthalmologist flagged early signs of retinal vessel fragility during a routine exam. Harold started eating a cup of blueberries most evenings, alongside some of the other changes I'm describing in this video. At his one-year exam, his retinal specialist noted visibly reduced microaneurysm activity. Those are tiny ballooning spots in weakened blood vessels, and Harold told me, almost in tears, that he finally felt like he had some control back over something he thought was purely up to genetics and bad luck. For timing, half a cup to a full cup of blueberries about an hour before bed is ideal. Frozen works just as well as fresh, since freezing doesn't destroy the anthocyanins. For synergy, pair them with a small amount of dark chocolate, at least 70% cacao. I know that sounds like an indulgence, but the flavonoids in dark chocolate appear to enhance blood flow to small vessels throughout the body, including the tiny capillary networks feeding your retina, essentially amplifying what the blueberries are already doing. And now, the moment I promised you at the start of this video. Number 1, the fruit that even surprised me when I started researching it seriously, goji berries. Goji berries have been used in traditional medicine for centuries, but it's only in the last 15 years that Western researchers have started to understand why. A clinical trial following adults with early-stage macular changes found that those who consumed a small daily portion of goji berries for 90 days showed increased macular pigment optical density of nearly 0.4 log units. And while that number might sound technical in practical terms, researchers described it as one of the largest short-term increases in natural eye protection ever recorded from a whole food intervention, alongside a measurable drop in a key marker of oxidative stress in the blood of nearly 41%. Here's why this one fruit stands so far above the rest for aging eyes specifically. Goji berries contain the highest concentration of zeaxanthin of almost any food on Earth, even higher than papaya, which we already discussed, but they also contain unique compounds that appear to reduce something researchers call chronic low-grade inflammation, or inflammaging, a slow-burning, background inflammation that increases with age and quietly damages tissue throughout your body, including the delicate retina. Think of inflammaging like a low, constant static on a radio station. You might not notice it moment to moment, but over years, that static drowns out the clarity of the signal, in this case, the clarity of your vision. Goji berries appear to turn down that static more effectively than almost any other fruit studied. There's also a phenomenon called anabolic resistance that becomes relevant here. As we age, our cells become less responsive to nutrients and signals that used to trigger repair and regeneration easily. It's like knocking on a door that used to open immediately, and now you have to knock 3 times louder just to get the same response. Some researchers believe the unique polysaccharides, which are just complex sugar molecules, found in goji berries may help resensitize cellular repair pathways, essentially making your aging cells listen again the way they did when you were younger. For preparation, a small handful of dried goji berries, about 2 tablespoons, soaked in warm water for 10 minutes before eating, is the method most studies have used. Soaking softens them and appears to make the compounds slightly easier to absorb. Eat them about 30 to 45 minutes before bed. For synergy, and this one is important, pair your goji berries with a small source of healthy fat, like a few walnuts or a drizzle of olive oil, because zeaxanthin is fat-soluble, meaning it needs fat present in your gut to be absorbed at all. Eating goji berries completely alone with no fat means you could be missing out on a significant portion of their benefit. I had a patient, Rosalind Feathering, 80 years old, from a quiet suburb outside Sacramento, California, who started this exact routine after her daughter found this kind of research and brought it to her. Rosalind had been told by 2 separate doctors that her dry macular degeneration was just going to be something to monitor. After 8 months of consistent goji berries with a small handful of walnuts most evenings, her retinal imaging showed stable, unchanged pigment layers where her doctors had expected gradual thinning. Her exact words to me were, "I didn't get younger eyes, doctor, but I think I stopped them from getting older so fast." That sentence has stuck with me for years. All of these scientific references, the studies I've mentioned throughout this video, are linked down in the description below, so you can read them yourself, print them out, or bring them to your own doctor to discuss. Here's what I want you to sit with as we close out today. Your eyes are not just a medical concern. They are your independence. They are the ability to read a letter from your grandchild without asking someone else to read it aloud. They are recognizing a familiar face across a crowded room. They are the confidence to keep driving to your own doctor's appointments, to keep living in your own home, to keep making your own decisions about your own life. Losing vision slowly, quietly, is one of the most common fears I hear in my exam room, right up there with losing memory. But here's the truth I want you to walk away with tonight. It is genuinely, scientifically, not too late to protect what you still have, and in some cases, to even strengthen what's already started to fade. Small, consistent choices made tonight and tomorrow night and the night after that add up in ways that surprise even those of us who've spent our careers studying this. If this video gave you even one thing you didn't know before, do me a favor and subscribe to this channel because I put out new videos just like this one every single week, all built around helping you protect your independence as you age. And before you go, I want you to answer one question for me down in the comments. Out of everything we covered tonight, which fruit are you going to try first and why? I read every single comment, and I will be there waiting to hear from you. Take care of those eyes. I'll see you in the next one.